Good evening and welcome to Crossroads. Former President Donald Trump arrived in Atlanta, Georgia yesterday. He was booked on RICO charges along with 18 co-defendants, members of his election integrity team mainly, who tried investigating notably election interference. And now they're all being accused of running a conspiracy of election interference for trying to investigate election interference. And for trying to imprison him, Trump is now accusing Democrats of using the criminal investigations and the indictments as a form of election interference as well. Watch.
What has taken place here is a travesty of justice. We did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong. And everybody knows it. I've never had such support. And that goes with the other ones, too. What they're doing is election interference. They're trying to interfere with an election. There's never been anything like it in our country before.
Now, this marks the fourth time that Trump has been indicted, just in time for the 2024 elections. Yet, unlike in previous charges, this time Trump through the whole process of being booked. Authorities released his mugshot soon after, and that mugshot has now become a political symbol. Now, Trump made a surprise return to X, formerly known as Twitter, and in his first post since January of 2021, Donald Trump released his own mugshot. It had the date of his arrest and stated, "Election interference, never surrender." And also posted was a link to donaldjtrump.com, where Trump posted a personal note, and he states this: "Today at the notoriously violent jail in Fulton County, Georgia, I was arrested despite having committed no crime." He adds that the American people know what's going on. He alleges that the charges against him are a travesty of justice and election interference. And he states the left wants to intimidate you out of voting for a political outsider who puts American people first. And notably as well, Trump issued a message on behalf of what he says represents his entire movement. He says this: "I will never surrender our mission to save America." And notably, he ends with a fundraising request for his 2024 presidential run. Now, Trump is using the mugshot to campaign with. The fears of the establishment have come true. Now, if you remember, this is what a lot of Democrats were arguing would happen. This is why they didn't want Trump to get a mugshot taken previously. It was allegedly the reason why they decided not to do it previously. They were worried it would help Trump's campaign. Now, I'll note as well that if this was not about interfering with his campaign, then why was that an issue? Regardless, the image has now come to represent something deeper. Memes of it, jokes, artistic revisions. They're already being plastered all over the internet. Trump supporters are making images of themselves looking like they're the ones getting the mugshot. The message echoes this at the Trump campaign, same idea. It's the idea these attacks are really against the American people and Trump is just standing in the way. In other words, Trump has now become a martyr. The indictments have now turned him into a folk hero. He's the Robin Hood fighting against corrupt taxes, the Spartacus against the slave system, the symbol of those who've been wronged by abuse and by incompetence, and also a symbol of solidarity, that facial expression, that people are fed up. They see through the illusions and fake narratives propped up in front of them, and they're no longer going to take it. Trump is capitalizing now on this sentiment. Memes of the mugshot are already echoing his former controversial statement that for Americans who feel that they've been wronged and betrayed by a corrupt system, he is their retribution. Watch.
In 2016, I declared, "I am your voice." Today, I add, "I am your warrior. I am your justice. And for those who have been wronged and betrayed, I am your retribution. I am your retribution."
The timing of all this came amid a wave of attention on Trump's campaign, contrasted notably with those of his rivals for 2024. One day before all of this, the RNC held its Republican national debate. Fox maintained exclusive rights over the video and only allowed other networks to run a maximum of 3 minutes. It was very limited in terms of how it could spread. The debate also suggested public interest was falling, though. It had an estimated 12.8 million viewers, which was about half of the audience as last time, when Republicans debated in August of 2015. Now, very likely part of the falling interest was, well, because Trump, the leading candidate, was not there. Trump declared he should have incumbency and doesn't feel a need to debate the others. He refused to sign the RNC pledge to support whoever the party chooses as its nominee. And Trump instead opted to hold his own discussion. Trump did an interview with former Fox News host Tucker Carlson on X. And as of this afternoon, the tweet of that video had about 255 million views. Now, during that interview, Trump explained his views on the indictments, and in particular, Trump described his understanding of why these indictments are ironically helping him at the polls. The reason, according to Trump, is that Americans are smarter than they look, and they're seeing through it all.
It's been amazing. My poll numbers are the highest I've ever had. But because people understand it.
Can I just ask you, that
yes.
gets back to my original question. So if the protest didn't work, you got elected anyway. Yeah. Impeachment didn't work twice, obviously. Indictment is not working. Your poll numbers go up. When they raided Mar-a-Lago in August of last year, your numbers went up. They can indict you 20 times, and you're not gonna lose the Republican primary because of that.
Well, so it makes it look even more ridiculous. I mean, the 4 indictments, and maybe there'll be more. I don't know. These people are crazy.
But they're counterproductive. So if you chart it out, it's an escalation, is what I'm saying. Yeah. So what's next? After, try to put you in prison for the rest of your life, that's not working. So, don't they have to kill you now?
I think the people of our country don't get enough credit for how smart they are. And I'm not sure I would have said this 10 years ago, but they get it,
Trump goes on to explain the many glaring holes and the many charges against him. He suggests that each of the charges is not only legally unsound, but also hypocritical. He notes in the classified document scandal is just one example, that many of his opponents on the Democrat side have done exactly what they're accusing him of doing, only they actually did it. But he explains a bit more deeply what's happening in America. Trump explains why, despite the legal troubles he's facing, he actually feels hope for the nation. Watch.
I have never seen spirit like there is right now. Even coming down here, just the people on the road that are just absolutely going crazy. And the reason is, I think they like me, and I know they love my policies. I hope they like me too. A lot of people say they don't like me, but they like my policies. I think they like me. But I have never seen spirit like it is right now. And the reason is because crooked Joe Biden is so bad. He's the worst president in the history of our country.
Now, as the interview goes on, Trump goes deeper into this. He seems very much aware of the attacks against him. Trump believes these attacks are going to continue, and he believes as well that if another Republican candidate does win, they're going to face the exact same attacks that he's facing. Now, for Trump, this is just the new form of the Democrat election campaign, the weaponization of the justice system to bring down their opponents. But he also explains further why, despite all this, he seems actually relatively unfazed. He explains why he can endure it.
How do you do that? How do you get indicted, every week and stay cheerful?
I think it's a lot easier because I'm so high in the polls, because it means the people get it. The people see it's a fraud. The people see it.
Now, election season is just still kicking off. This is technically just the beginning. Now, so far, it looks like none of these attacks on Trump are actually harming him. Instead, it actually looks like they're helping him in the polls by a good margin, and they've notably led the Republican establishment to mostly rally behind Trump. The question Tucker raised was that, given so much has been done against Trump already, it's hard to imagine what options the Democrats would even have on the table. Controversy doesn't seem to impact Trump at the polls. Legal attacks, the pressure, they don't seem to faze him. It's all having the opposite of effect of what logic would normally suggest. And next up is going to be the trials. And even alongside that, innocence or guilt is going to be weighed separately. The courts are going to decide Trump's case, but public opinion is going to decide the future. That's all for tonight. Thank you for joining us, and as always, stay informed and stay free.